it's way too late. Every single time you stay, I cave. You got control of me, break my barricades, walls are crumbling. Every single time you say I can't. You got control of me, break my barricades, walls are crumbling. Every single time you say I can't.
Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Have a super awesome product today from Hansshow. This is the all new Model SX Plaid-Inspired yoke for the Model 3 and Y. This is a brand new design that differs from the original yokes that have been out there for about a year or so now. This yoke has been designed from the ground up. The cores are now being manufactured as opposed to the OEM cores being reused from the steering wheels. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. At first glance, it looks absolutely stunning. We'll take a look at the airbag cover shortly. I have a little surprise when it comes to that. And once we get into the look and feel of this yoke, I can tell you right now, Hansshow hit this out of the park. The metal buttons are present, so if you have a 2019 or earlier, you have rubber buttons currently, so you'll have a little upgrade there. The plastic trim is beautifully done. It has metal bezels around the entire plastic trim. Let's take it out of the box. Now if I pull back the bonnet here, first thing I notice is that the entire steering wheel is wrapped in Nappa leather, which is absolutely beautiful. The previous versions, this was all plastic on the back. Hanshow's gone ahead and wrapped this all in white Nappa. So you can see this is the new core that's being manufactured. They're no longer using the OEM steering wheel cores. It does have the heated capability. If your car does have heated steering wheel functionality, then you can use it. If not, it won't work. One thing that's also not present, except for the airbag cover, is stitching. There are no visible stitches on this Nappa leather steering wheel, which is absolutely incredible. The airbag cover features the same exact OEM function, has the split down the middle behind the press T logo there, so if the airbag was to deploy in an emergency, it would break through without an issue. We will be changing out the airbag cover in this video, so if you're interested in how to do that, we'll get you. If you look at the back of the steering wheel, even the bottom portion where the two holes are present is wrapped in Nappa leather. No stitching. Everything is seamless. It's beautiful. So if you have a first gen yoke like I did, you may have been bothered by all the stitching that was present. This fixes that problem. So you can see Hansshow is now stamping the steering wheel core because they are manufacturing them as opposed to using OEM parts. Before we get into today's installation, special thanks to our friends over at Hansshow. You can check out all their amazing products over at hautopart.com. They have the latest and greatest accessories, modifications, and upgrades for your Tesla Model S, Model 3, Model X, and Model Y, including this brand new Model SX Plaid-Inspired yoke for your Model 3 or Y. Right now, Hansshow is running a sale through the end of August, a 20% off sale. If you use our code TOPSHELF at checkout, you'll save an additional 20% off your entire purchase. So if you were to purchase this yoke steering wheel today at $538 with the airbag cover, adding our code on, not only will save you 15%, but through the end of August, you'll save 20% off your entire purchase. This yoke or anything else you add to your cart, save some extra money, get yourself that extra accessory you've been wanting. Now's the time through the end of August, save yourself 20%. And now let's go ahead and get into the install. So the first step is going to be removing the 12-volt battery connection and the high voltage. Before you disconnect any batteries, I always recommend opening all of your doors, your frunk, and your trunk. Now we can go ahead into the front. We're going to remove the air vent cover, and we're going to grab our 10mm socket. And on the left post of the negative terminal, we're just going to go ahead and loosen that, just like so, and remove it. Now once that's removed, we're going to go to the rear passenger seat, grab the tab in the front, little plastic tab, pull it to the right, and lift up on the cushion. That will give us access to the high voltage battery contactor or connector. Remove the foam piece and that gray plug there. We're going to press down on the U-shaped plastic piece and then pull up on the connector and remove it. You'll hear a clunk after about 10 seconds, and now you're good to go. So to remove the steering wheel, I'm going to use a Torx 20 screwdriver. This has worked best for me. Some people recommend flathead screwdrivers. It's easier if you have two of these, but at the time I didn't have two, so I'm using one. And what you're going to do is you're going to insert the Torx 20 screwdriver or whatever screwdriver you use into the two holes on the sides of the steering wheel at the bottom. And you're going to press in until you hear the spring disconnect on the airbag, and it comes loose just like so. So now I recommend a long needle nose pair of pliers here. It helps immensely getting these two connectors out. Depress those two tabs and remove the airbag. Now the airbag is completely removed from the vehicle. And now we'll do the same on the left side with the brown connector, which is for the steering wheel controls. So we can remove that as well. Just tuck it off to the side. Now for the airbag, we're going to be changing out the cover. So the way to do this is grab as many flathead screwdrivers as you can, and you're going to just apply leverage underneath the plastic and wiggle those free. It is very labor intensive, and once you do this, it cannot be undone. So this airbag cover is no longer useful. Now we're going to need a breaker bar with a 10mm hex socket. I highly recommend the breaker bar. This makes the job a lot easier. There is a strong Loctite on this bolt. And just use your knee to keep the steering wheel in place. Even if you have a round wheel, it will do the same. And you're going to apply downward pressure on that bolt. Just take your time here. It is very, very tight. And don't be surprised if that bolt or the breaker bar comes free. It happens to me all the time. But now the breaker bar has worked, and with this one in particular, it has the articulating head, so I just rotate it to get the nut free from the steering wheel. So there's the nut. You can see the yellow Loctite on there. Now the last step to removing the steering wheel is we're just going to wiggle it and pull towards your chest, and the steering wheel will eventually come free. Don't be afraid to muscle it. It will come off. And there you go. That's how the steering wheel looks without any steering wheel. There's your hub. So now we're going to install our new yoke. We've got it out of the box here and in front of us. And the installation is exactly the same for this new design. There's no difference. The hub, although it has been modified in the manufacturing process, it is the same. So you can see there are two tabs. One is at 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock position. Make sure you line those up with the steering wheel hub, the receiving end. And the yoke should fit right onto that hub, just like so. We can go ahead and now connect the steering wheel control connector. And we're going to go ahead and hand tighten that nut just to get it started. And with this breaker bar again, I'm going to be tightening it. Now, the spec for the yoke is 80 nanometers. If you have a torque wrench, highly recommend using the torque wrench to torque it down to spec. So 80 Newton meters is the spec as per Tesla. Make sure all of your holes are aligned. That is where the airbag will make contact with the steering wheel. If you misalign this, it will cause your horn to go off when you reconnect the battery. So now we're going to take our airbag connection and we're going to connect it there. And we're going to line up those two pins with the top, and there's one on the bottom. We've got the new airbag cover on already. So the new airbag cover will just slip over the airbag once you remove the old one. Apply even pressure when you're putting the airbag in place. And everything looks fantastic. So now we're going to reconnect our battery in the reverse order. So we're going to go to the rear passenger side of the car, pick up the cushion, and reconnect that high voltage contactor or connector. And then go back to the 12-volt battery in the front. And there is a little tab there. It says 6 Newton meters is the spec for your tightening. So if you want to torque it down to 6 Newton meters, you can. And if your horn is not blaring at this point, then you installed the airbag correctly. You can replace the air intake cover. Make sure you have all of the snaps in place. Just give it a couple extra presses. I always miss one or two thinking I got it. And now let's check out this awesome brand new airbag cover. This is the first time in a Model 3 or Y that we have, wait for it, the plaid style Tesla stamp across the wheel. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I am in love with this yoke. The pressing is beautiful. It looks just like the stock plaid steering wheel. You can see the metal buttons, the upgraded buttons that come on the newer steering wheels. So that's a welcome addition. And just one note, the lights on this steering wheel do not work. Even though they're visible, they will not work. So now we're going to do a quick side-by-side comparison of the Gen 1 yoke and the Model SX Plaid-Inspired yoke. The first thing we noticed was that the newer yoke is shorter top to bottom, which allows for better turning radius and better knee clearance. There are no visible stitchings anywhere on the wheel itself except for the airbag cover. There is no carbon fiber available for this wheel at the time. Overall, it's a much better implementation of the yoke style steering wheel. And let's get into my final thoughts and impressions, and we'll do a further comparison of the two yokes. But the first thing I want to point out is that this airbag cover is absolutely stunning. Hansshow really nailed this in trying to make it as close to a plaid style yoke as possible. The only stitching visible on this wheel is on the airbag cover, and it's done very well. There are no popped stitches, no errant threads. You can see the metal steering wheel scroll wheels. Those are a nice upgrade to any existing wheel if you don't have those. The plastic trim that says airbag and is on the external part of the scroll wheels is adorned in a matte black plastic with a silver outline trim. The Napa leather used on this wheel is very supple and very, very beautifully done. Again, like I said earlier, there's no visible stitching on anywhere on the wheel. There's no rubbing that we noticed with the yoke on the steering wheel hub. That was an issue with some of the older Gen 1 yokes. We never encountered that problem with our Gen 1 or this one, but it is something of a concern with some of the yokes. I was very surprised to see that the back of the steering wheel was also wrapped in the white Napa leather. It adds a totally new element of class to this wheel. It's really a head turner. I have been stopped already at the supercharger a few times, people asking where I got this from. As you can see, the cutouts for the wheel are really well done. The leather, instead of being sewn on the outside, has been seamed, so it's very, very fluid looking. The turning radius is absolutely 100% way better than the Gen 1. The knee clearance is better. I was able to turn this left and right with one finger with no issue. Autopilot works great with the nudge and the annoying touch the steering wheel warning every 30 seconds or so. Just put a little weight on the bottom of the steering wheel. No issue there with that. I really hope you guys enjoyed this installation video. This is by far one of our favorite products this year. Shout out to Hansshow for sending this to us. You can see here the gap behind the airbag is filled in with the plastic. And right now, like we said earlier, if you go to hautopart.com, visit our friends over at Hansshow, and use our code TOPSHELF at checkout, by the end of August, you'll save 20% between now and through the end of August. And after that, we'll go back to the 15% discount year-round. Unless other sales come up, we'll let you know. Thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed this video and look forward to bringing you more content for your Tesla. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Peace out. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care.
But it's way too late. Every single time you say I cave.